Here are the basic things you need. You have to pick a topic that you will be able to back up with evidence, explain, and be able to talk about. Will you pick autocracy or democracy? Make sure you clearly answer the question and include your 3 subtopics in the order of your paragraphs. Use vocabulary and historical figures to demonstrate understanding. And at the end, make sure to restate your answer.
The basic structure of an essay for Mr. P is quite simple for the bare minimum. In the introduction, make sure your first sentence hooks the reader. You don't want your first sentence to be boring because Mr. P won't want to continue reading. Also, talk broad about your argument and then funnel down to a more specific statement. Then your thesis statement should be your last sentence, including your 3 subtopics in the order that will support and be explained in the following paragraphs. Your body paragraph should first state one of the subtopics and explain its importance and relevance. Then throughout your writing, there should be a purpose, evidence, and development. Then, at the end of your body paragraph, restate your thesis statement and try to connect it to the next subtopic paragraph. This is a bad example of an essay Mr. P does not want. I'll repeat that. Mr. P does not want an essay like this. Right off the bat, the title is incorrect. It should be centered, underlined, and bolded. Make it so your title is a full question and try to stay away from one-word titles. Also, big thing here. Don't forget your name, period, and date in upper right-hand corner. Not the left side, but the right. Hey sophomore, don't begin the essay with, I'm going to tell you about blah blah blah, etc. Yawn, that's boring. Mr. P has read enough essays in his time teaching that start like that. So that's a big no-no when it comes to writing an essay for Mr. P. That will automatically get you a bad grade. Okay, we're going to go through the first intro paragraph together and see if we can catch all these mistakes. So we already went over how not to start an essay for Mr. P. Let's skim over the intro real quick and look for any personal narratives. All the highlighted words are personal narratives. Specifically, personal narratives are words such as I, us, we, meaning we want to stay away from anything that starts with I think or I believe. So we want to change these words right here, otherwise you'll get a low score. The first sentence of the essay is in the wrong spot. Mr. P wants you to answer the question in the last sentence of the intro, along with the 3 subtopics you'll be writing about in order. Luckily, Mr. P has made it easy for you, and you only have to write 1 body paragraph along with the intro. Adding on to the fact you must state your 3 subtopics, even though you're only writing a body based on 1 of them, make sure there's 3, and they're in order. As you're rereading, you might change a few words here and there to make your intro flow better. Now let's take a look at the body paragraph and any errors. Okay, so the first sentence is incorrect because that isn't the correct definition for representative democracy. Make sure you have the right definition for certain words. In your first sentence, talk about your first subtopic. Again, look for any personal narratives that you may have incorporated into your essay because there isn't supposed to be any personal narratives. Looking in the middle section here, there is only 1 historic person referenced. The minimum is 3 people to pull ideas from. Don't forget to mention these 3 people. To wrap everything up, restate your answer to the question in the last sentence to recap a little. Also, most likely your writing will be in the left align. Change it to justified format because Mr. P thinks it's neater and he likes the way it looks.
This is a good example of an essay, something Mr. P would be very happy to see. For starters, the name, date, and period is in the top right corner. Mr. P does not care for MLA format and prefers the name in the top right corner and not double-spaced because it saves paper. Anyways, the title is center, bold, and underlined, which is what he wants. The title should also be the question you're answering. It should be the entire question and not just 1 word. Okay, let's look at the introductory paragraph. Right away, the first couple of sentences hooks the reader but also connects, and each sentence funnels down and flows into another, leading to the thesis statement. The thesis statement should answer the question and state 3 subtopics in the correct order, which is shown here. Now on to the body paragraph. The first sentence should repeat your answer to the question and also include the first subtopic that you listed in your intro. That subtopic is what you'll be talking about in that body paragraph. As you read the paragraph, representative democracy is being defined, but also compared to autocracy. Your evidence should follow this structure of purpose, evidence, and development. This paper doesn't require quotes, but it also needs historical figures and vocabulary that will support your subtopic, which will support your thesis. The minimum requirement is to use 3 historical figures to support and/or counter your claim, but you can always use more. When you use a historical figure, make sure to include who they are. For example, Montesquieu. Who is he? A philosopher? A writer? An actor? Mr. P would want you to include who they are and from when to when did they live. At the end of your paragraph, you should wrap up your thoughts and restate your thesis at the end. As you restate your thesis, bridge to your next subtopic that will be discussed in the next body paragraph. This will connect the subtopics together, which connects to the historical figures and to the thesis statement. Although you will not write a second body paragraph, you should still connect to the next one as if you were going to write another paragraph. Also, make sure your writing is in justified format. Mr. P prefers this more than left align, which can be found at the top bar to the left of the spacing tab.
As you edit each sentence in your introduction paragraph and body paragraph, keep in mind Orwell's 4 rules. What am I trying to say? How can I say it? Does it make sense? And can it be shorter?
Here are some friendly reminders. I recommend that you have 1 or 2 classmates read your paper so you can get feedback on your writing. It will only benefit you, so why not? Make sure you use the correct introduction format, which was shown and explained in the beginning of the video. Do not use personal narratives because Mr. P will not accept your paper if you do. Revise and edit your paper because your paper is never perfect and there is always room for changes. There should be no evidence in your introduction, only in your body paragraph. Keep in mind Orwell's 4 questions. This is important because it is a cleaner and more direct way of communication. Do not use MLA format because it takes up too much space and Mr. P likes to save paper, so print double-sided if it is more than 1 page, or you can make the font and margin smaller. Finally, type your BBQ unless you have super duper neat handwriting. Mr. P won't want to read anything if it's messy.